That's the fight that makes sense. Fans are always asking me, when's Nate fighting Conor? When's Nate fighting Conor? Like, I get sick of hearing it. I can't imagine how sick Nate must get of hearing it. Like, the UFC just needs to make that fight. It's like everyone wants to see Conor Nate 3. That really should have been done a couple years ago, because it's been, when Nate dominated the first one, Conor squeaked out a controversial decision in the second one. So it makes sense to do the third. They're both a little older now. They're both huge stars. That's really the fight that makes sense for Conor and Nate.
Helen Yee here at Xtreme Couture. Always great to be joined by the one and only Mr. Jake Shields. Always great to see you.
Yeah, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Well, I see you're constantly busy traveling the world. What's been new with you?
Like I said, always staying busy. It's been messing around, messing with the podcast a little bit. Figured I might as well do that. Everyone's doing it, but why not? True to that, training some fighters. Haven't been real strict. Hasn't been a lot of fighters recently, so still training almost every day.
Yeah, and podcasting, I saw you first post it on X, kind of saying, letting people know you want to do it.
Yeah, playing around a little bit. Just got the YouTube up, Rumble. I'm going to start getting some fighters. Been doing a little political stuff to start with, but want to get a lot of fighters in. Comedians, want to do a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of different topics, and see where it goes.
Where can they find it on YouTube?
Jake Shields, AJJ, YouTube. I set the Rumble. My Twitter's all the same to make it simple.
Yeah.
So.
Smart at marketing, right?
Yeah, I figured just go with the Jake Shields AJJ so people don't get confused.
Yeah. So you mentioned you'll be having fighters on and stuff. Is it like a weekly podcast or?
Right now I'm just kind of experimenting, trying to see what I want to do, but around once a week. It's not going to be exact because it depends on, you got to see when you can get good guests, like that, and they're obviously, it'd be nice to find someone that I do it regularly with, some people like that to cover. I would like to do, like fight breakdowns, also, big political events. I kind of want to do both, which it's, different topics, but why not? Why not get both markets?
Yeah, definitely. And something you're very vocal on, especially on X. I mean, we see everything that you tweet.
Yeah, I tweet a lot of controversial stuff, but why not? I just figure might as well throw it out there.
Hey, didn't Eric Bischoff say controversy creates cash, right? He has that book.
It definitely can. It can cost cash too, but it's like right now I'm doing pretty well, so.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned fighters. So next weekend in Abu Dhabi, a fight that a lot of fans were looking forward to, the return of Nick Diaz. It doesn't seem that he will be fighting anymore. Is there any update with him?
I think they're just moving the fight. I don't believe it's canceled. I just think it was, they tried signing the fight really quick and pushing him through when it's like, you can't go from like not training or, to these 6 weeks camp. 6 weeks camps are fine if you've been training a lot, but try to give someone a 6 weeks camp when they've barely trained in the last 5 years. So I think it makes sense to give them a couple more months. I would prefer to see it in the U.S. Plus, Nick doesn't like traveling that much, so to throw him to Abu Dhabi never really made any sense. So I'm glad they're moving it personally.
Yeah. But you think it'll still be him fighting Vicente, or?
I think so. I would rather a different opponent, because someone a little more famous, a little more OG, someone in the game that everyone. Vicente's awesome. Not taking away from him, but he doesn't have anywhere near the name recognition Nick does. I think a fun fight would be someone like Tony Ferguson. I know Tony's coming off a couple losses, but the guy's still a legend, an absolute beast. I think a fight like that would be fun, and I think the fans would want to see it, but I don't know what the UFC wants.
Yeah, and Tony is booked against Michael Chiesa, so maybe after that?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, depends on who wins that. I think they're still doing Vicente, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I would like to see, I can't think off the top of my head, but someone else who's been around forever like Nick, who's a big OG name. Again, Vicente's awesome. He's a great fighter, but he just hasn't put in the same kind of years Nick has.
Yeah, and all the fans love Nick. I did see you on the Jackson podcast. Great podcast, by the way. Talk about kind of his training camp and kind of how much he did really train for that Robbie Lawler fight. So how much has he been training recently, especially since he got this fight on short notice?
Well, he's been training way more, but he's been out in Houston where he doesn't have many training partners. So he's been training at least. He's been swimming, running, a little jiu-jitsu. So he's way more than Lawler. Lawler was basically no training, but I think they wanted to, they need to bring, like me or Gil, some guys to run his camp. And unfortunately that was so rushed, we weren't able to put that together. So either have him come back to Vegas or we need to go out there for 6 weeks or something, or Caesar or someone like that to run it.
But do you think he'll be based in Houston moving forward?
I don't think so. I think the manager had him out there for, so Houston's not one of my favorite cities. I like Texas, but I don't love Houston, I'd rather be at so when I come to Houston, I'm oh man, Houston, can we go to Dallas or Austin or?
Wait, why not?
It's just, I've only been there once or twice. Maybe I haven't gone to the right spots, but it was just kind of trashy, kind of big people.
You didn't like the barbecue?
I'm a vegetarian, so no. But
How long have you been vegetarian?
my whole life, actually, I've grown up vegetarian. Most people, I'm not one of those vegan vegetarians that constantly talks about it. So most people don't know, but it just, for me, I felt healthy this way. And the few times I ate meat, I would get sick, so I just never ate it.
Yeah, well, vegetables are good for the soul. But lastly, about Nick, you mentioned he's swimming a lot. I see he's a good swimmer. He's like, a lot of fans want to see me swim with Nick Diaz.
I'm not trying to set my friend up against a girl for swimming. I don't know. You're going to have to ask Nick that one.
We're not going to race, but I want to do one of his practices because I like that he does hundreds freestyle on an interval.
Yeah, I hate swimming. Nick was always trying to get me to swim with him, and I'd always make up excuses to why I couldn't. I would run with him or bike with him, but swimming, I'm like, no. I'm like, I can swim, but I'm just really slow. I swim like an Asian. Not you, like the Asians that can't swim.
The 4 feet 11 ones?
A lot of Asians can't swim for some reason. I don't know. I've met a lot of Asians that can't swim at all. You haven't met that?
Well, you know what? My younger brother, who's like 6'4", he can't swim. He can play piano.
I can swim, but just not that fast. So I'm like, I'm not racing Nick. And he's like super competitive, so.
Well, I'll fill in for you.
All right, perfect. I'll set you up. Yeah, he used to swim all the time, him and Nate, so.
Yeah. We mentioned Nate. Congrats on his victory. I mean, he just beat Jorge Masvidal in that super exciting boxing match.
That was actually the most exciting boxing fight I've ever been live. It's usually I go to boxing events. It's only the main event people get excited for, but they were excited all night. I showed up, I forget what time, but like 3 or 4 hours before Nate fought. Thought I was gonna be dead, and it was already almost packed. Just the energy was unreal. It was like fight after fight. They did a great job with the undercard. They stacked a lot of 6-round fights instead of 12s. I think it made it go a lot more exciting. And they had guys like Anthony Pettis on the undercard. It was definitely an exciting event.
Yeah. Sean Garcia, Ryan Garcia's brother.
Yeah, that was a great fight. He fought. Who did he fight? He fought another famous boxer's son, and that was the war. They went at it, Ryan was, a ton of celebrities there, a ton of celebrity boxers, MMA guys, celebrities in general. They sold out the arena. I think it was over 18,000. So it was great seeing it. It showed what a star Nate is. I mean, obviously Masvidal helped, but the crowd was there for Nate. He comes out, they just went crazy for him. Like, wow, Nate's the guy's like my little brother, and he's just seen him what a superstar he's become into is awesome.
I know. I remember when you were on the Schmo Zone podcast, our podcast, kind of talking about how you've known Nate since he was like a teenager.
Yeah, since he was like 16. He was just a little 15 maybe even. He's just Nick's little brother, and now he's just an international superstar. You barely can like walk around with him.
But the best thing about him is he stays true to himself and has remained so humble and so loyal. Huh?
Oh yeah, the exact same guy. He hangs out with the same people in Stockton, same down-to-earth guy. Obviously everyone's gonna change a little bit with age and everything, but it's nice seeing him the same. I'm very fortunate where, most of my friends that have gotten famous have stayed real. Guys like, Chuck Liddell, Nick Diaz. You see a few guys, not gonna name names, that turn into douchebags, and you're like, when you see that, it's just like, oh, it's disgusting. But when you see guys like Nate, huge superstar, exact same guy.
Well, shout out to you guys and the Skrap Pack.
Yep.
Rocking that shirt.
Exactly. Got to represent my team.
Yeah, you were just with Gilbert Melendez, right? And I saw also Cody Garbrandt.
Oh yeah, we were hanging out with Cody for Flex Lewis had his gym. He was doing the 3-year anniversary. And then Gil had his guy Hyder who fought out here. Did you see him? He's really tough. He won first round TKO. Yeah, I went and bet on him. He was an underdog, and Hyder's a savage, a 135-pounder. That's another guy to watch.
Definitely. So many great fights. And this weekend in Manchester, a friend of yours, Belal Muhammad, he's fighting Leon Edwards.
I'm super excited for that. I'm a little biased being friends with Belal, but I think he's going to pull out an upset. That's it's going to be a close fight. Those guys are both on amazing win streaks. It should be, I think it's going to be close, but I think Belal's going to pull the upset.
And what about in that co-main event, Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes?
I know the guys, but I haven't watched either one of them fight that much. I'm going to go with Aspinall, but I honestly haven't studied either of those guys that much.
Well, one of your guys, Patchy Mix, it looks like he has a fight coming up to defend his Bellator title in November in Paris.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy Patchy's fighting, but Patchy's an absolute killer. He's just an absolute savage. He just dominates Bellator. I think he could, potentially beat anyone in the UFC as well, 35s. And on a good night, for sure, he beats any UFC fighter as well. I see him spar these guys. He's an absolute killer.
Being here in Las Vegas, the weather is constantly heating up. It's like 110 right now outside. How do you like to stay cool?
It's brutal in the summer, occasionally I just went to a bike ride yesterday out of Red Rock. So.
Outside?
Yeah, it was brutal. So Dan Bilzerian called me out to a bike ride. I couldn't let him punk me, so I thought he was joking at first. Like, all right, he wants to go ride, so I went and hit that loop through Red Rock. It wasn't as bad as I thought because it was a little cooler up there and the breeze was going. So,
what time did you guys ride bikes?
I think about 4. It was really hot. Don't get me wrong, but I survived better than I thought. See, I couldn't let him be like out like, oh, I'm gonna do this heat and you're not. So,
did you win?
We crossed the same time. we were definitely flying at the end.
Dude, but what else do you kind of like to do in your spare time? Because like we mentioned, you keep busy, you stay busy, but I mean, you're hanging out with Dan Bilzerian, your ex continues to grow, I mean, and you're into politics.
Yeah, I just, just try to stay busy. And this heat is tough in Vegas. I try to travel a lot during the summer, going out to San Francisco this weekend, not the best place I know. Might head out to I think Miami next week. So I stay busy, so.
In Miami, do you get bit by mosquitoes?
Not really. Mosquitoes don't like me. I don't have good blood, apparently. Yeah, you must have sweet blood.
My leg.
Yeah, that's bad. That's here in Vegas. They got you.
No, I was in Tampa.
Yeah, no. Tampa's. I don't get bit up there either. Tampa's a fun city, though. That was a fun spot.
Yeah, it is a fun spot. It was for Mike Perry and Jake Paul.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that fight. That's a fight too. If Conor and Nate don't fight again, I think Nate and Jake Paul could be a rematch. I think Nate trained a lot harder for his last fight. People could see the difference in his body. I think he's just, for whatever reason, sometimes we fought so many years. Sometimes you have camps where you have a little injury, you're a little off, and it wasn't a great camp for Nate. And it was still a close fight. I think the way he looked against Masvidal, he could come in and take Jake Paul out.
Yeah, Tampa was really nice, except the mosquitoes, because I think they like the white rice blood.
Yeah, I think so. They eat you up. I think they like Asian. You got sweeter blood, apparently.
But for the fans who love you and can't wait to not only follow your podcast, but follow you all over X and social media, what would you like to let them know?
Just thanks for all the support throughout the years. So.